Good morning, everybody. This is Arthur. And something else comes to mind that I want to speak against. Last week, there was a bunch of news about the log cabin Republicans and how they were cutting off advocacy, protection, activism for the T, that the log cabin Republicans were just moving into LGB advocacy. Let's cut the crap here. That is a CYA move like no other, because the whole homosexualist and transgender cult is collapsing. I've said before, and I say it again, you don't have the T without the LGB, because homosexuality, transgender, lesbian, all that crap was pushed into the public square. It was inevitable that you would have transgenderism next. There should be no surprise here. The only legitimate thing that the so-called log cabin Republicans can do is to disaffiliate entirely. There is nothing conservative about two men or two women abusing each other. There is nothing conservative about an organization that wants to undermine natural marriage, life, and family. All this nonsense about, we care about limited government. No, that's not true. Because if you allow for sexual degeneracy to be normative, it will inevitably lead to more government. There's more government that has to deal with the public order breakdown, the breakdown of family, the proliferation of venereal disease, the undermining of individual rights, natural rights, because if you don't bake the cake, if you don't provide the flowers, if you don't provide the photography for the same-sex wedding, you face court, you face sanction, you face lawsuit. That is not live and let live. That is not limited government by any stretch. It is stunning to me how you have these so-called gay conservatives who talk about, we just want equality. That's a communistic impulse, demanding to be treated the same when the behaviors, the lifestyle are not the same. That's communistic. You go back to the 50s, even before that. The first homosexual activist organizations were communistic at their core. You cannot put a conservative veneer on a communistic core. It will never be legitimate. We have to stand for truth. And what's really galling is that the sexually degenerate Republicans, they use a log cabin to try to connect themselves to Abraham Lincoln. How obscene is that? It is cultural Marxist revisionism of the lowest order when they do that. This move away from the T, first of all, it's not going to win them any supporters. It's going to inflame more division, because normalizing all the other crap was divisive, destructive, degenerate, dysfunctional, deviant to begin with. Rick Grinnell, one of the premier spokesmen for the log cabin Republicans, he attacked Governor DeSantis as homophobic. See, again, this is the same Marxist garbage. There's no getting rid of it. There's no easing out of it. There's no trying to diminish it. So we're normal. We're normal gays, as J.D. Vance tried to proffer in his interview with Joe Rogan in 2024. But there's nothing normal about abusing your body. It will never be normal. And we have to have the courage to say this. And keep in mind, too, they talk about limited government. A lot of those log cabin types, they're okay with abortion. Excuse me. Government is supposed to protect our life. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That is a right which government must protect. So they contradict their own message. I guarantee you look into the details on this. A lot of those Republicans are quite liberal, and they believe in big government in lots of ways. They only want limited government when it comes to protecting the family. They don't want to protect children, protect family, protect the public order. And there's no excuse for any of it. So this is my challenge to anyone who watches, anyone who cares. The whole log cabin cultural Marxist mess needs to be rejected entirely. Getting rid of the T isn't enough. Promoting, supporting, enabling, accommodating LGB is DOA. What should we be doing instead? We need a pro-family, a pro-natural law, a pro-public order restoration. Now, there's a criticism that deserves a response, because you have some common good or public order conservatives who have even gone so far, they want authoritarian government. They think Generalissimo Franco is a hero. They celebrate Huey Long, a vile, corrupt socialist. And I say to you, you can have a properly ordered society with a proper government restraint that doesn't violate our natural rights. The framers of the Constitution, the founders of our country, they recognize the need for virtue. And I will disagree with some of the libertarian-leaning pundits and commentators. It is appropriate that you have government enforcing key norms. It's necessary to protect children. It is necessary to have public order, for public health, for civilizational flourishing. The contest, the challenge, will always be that we as citizens have that eternal vigilance to ensure that the state does not encroach beyond its proper limits. And a lot of the live and let live conservatives, they don't want to have that fight. They just want to say, well, let's not have to deal with it at all. Let's just reduce the government to such an irreducible minimum that it's actually not even protecting our rights anymore. Can't have that. Libertarian philosophy is great when it comes to spending money, when it comes to business, but Milton Friedman was not an anarchist. Murray Rothbard was. And he's the same guy I'd shared last time who stated that libertarian political philosophy doesn't comment on cultural issues. But see, that's not acceptable. We do have to answer those questions too. Dinesh D'Souza wrote about this in a letter to a young conservative, in a book called Letters to a Young Conservative. Libertarianism only answers a select number of questions, but there are other issues that do have to be addressed. Virtue does matter in a society, and statescraft as soulcraft does have a place. Minimal, perhaps, limited, certainly, but it does have a role. James Madison understood this. Thomas Jefferson understood this. This idea of moral degradation as something that we should allow as a matter of liberty can never be a winning strategy. Now, just to recap, the log cabin Republicans want to give off this perception that they're live and let live libertarian. That is nonsense. We have the government intrusion of all these LGBT abuses because of the normalization of homosexuality. And it was inevitable that transgenderism would follow. And for them to say, well, we're no longer going to promote or advocate for the T is an artful dodge and a superficial reform. The only real change that would matter, the whole organization has to shut down, and people who struggle with same-sex issues or with identity dysphoria need to get proper care. Deal with the trauma, deal with the abuse. No one's natural rights should be violated, but we shouldn't be celebrating perversion and treat it as a civil right, nor should we be bullied into thinking that this is normative and that this somehow can be part of a conservative, or better yet, a restoring agenda. We need to talk about restoration, not just conserving. Conserving has failed. There has to be an active, restoring, rejuvenating mission now. And I think that's what I know that's what we need to be fighting for. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you.